And welcome into the Monday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Watched a lot of golf yesterday. I mean, not a lot, but for me, a lot of golf. So I just want you to know.
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
Also did some working out. And Ian and I were both at the rec center in Owensville.
At the same time.
Kind of cool. Yes.
Unbeknownst to each other.
Unbeknownst. Yeah, it found out today, but that's cool. Had some art going on. Kids at a party.
Nice. Sure did. Yeah.
Very nice.
Hanging out in Joestown.
Nice.
Hit up the no free ads, but we have the very excited about the new place in town where you can get,
new shopping center.
Can get some burrito bowls or burritos type stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Fancy pants.
Yeah, man. Oh, we're excited.
Nolensville, and just continuing to grow down there. Just continuing to expand.
Yeah. Please don't come. The traffic's already bad enough. Don't visit.
Please stay away.
Yeah.
Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Doing just fine, thanks. Great weekend. Beautiful weather, but no golf for me. How about
disappointing
this whole CBS Xfinity thing?
Yeah, it's not good.
That bit me in the behind.
I will say,
I got nothing.
I was at the Preds game Saturday, and cool 4:00 start. Love those. Got down for the third period. In the third period, me and a couple other people we head downstairs to the media workroom just so we're close to the locker room, get all our stuff done. So I was like, there's like 7 TVs down there. So I'll put most of them on the hockey game, but I'll fire one up and throw it on golf. I think the third round was coming to an end at that point. And there's Xfinity in the building downstairs. I was like, oh, there's no golf on Channel 5. So I fired up the old Masters website and fired it up on the computer. But still, I was just like, what are we doing here? Can we not get this figured out? I bet there are a lot of people that were mad yesterday that had Xfinity that could not watch the Masters, at least on their TV.
It's pretty rough.
I feel like every few weeks there's a new thing that disrupts someone's ability to watch a sporting event.
Yeah.
Crazy how much we pay for all this stuff.
Right.
And we still can't get them.
And still.
Yeah.
I
mean, I probably could have just gone straight, unplugged it and gone antenna.
Maybe.
But that means I got to mess with a bunch of stuff. And it's like, I want to watch, but do I really want to watch that bad?
Right.
And then at that point, I have to only watch it on the TV. It's too nice to just sit there and watch golf when you got kids running around. I can put it on my phone, keep an AirPod in, kind of keep up with it, while I'm busy. But it's hard these days to just sit there and watch like that.
You know what I did yesterday? Scheffler teed off at 12:52 Central Time yesterday. I got my laptop out. I sat on my patio outside on my deck. And from 12:52 until the moment that tournament ended yesterday, that's where I was.
Yeah.
Like 5.5 consecutive hours just sitting there watching it.
So were you watching the broadcast or you watching the thing where you can watch
I was watching the broadcast,
okay,
which I got some things to say about a little bit later in the show, by the way. But yes, I was watching the broadcast.
Yeah. He he had a shot there. He had a couple. He had a couple there that
it was there for the taking.
Yeah, to at least maybe force a playoff, I guess, right?
Yes. It was, look, heading into the weekend.
He shot a 68.
Yeah. He was the first player. Scheffler was the first player since 1942 to shoot a bogey-free weekend at the Masters. It's pretty impressive.
That's pretty good.
Now, heading into the weekend, I thought the whole tournament was a dud. Rory had a 6-shot lead after 36 holes, and it was like, it's the largest lead in the history of the tournament heading into the weekend. And then by the time Saturday came and went, he was blown. It had been tied at that point. So I knew yesterday would be pretty good. Nobody really played great yesterday. And I think the conditions toward the end of it, the wind was swirling. Greens firmed up a little bit. It was hard to find people shooting birdies out there. Rory yesterday shot even par on the last day of the tournament and won. It just doesn't happen very often where you can afford to shoot even par on the last day of the tournament and you can win. But I will say,
he also didn't take risks.
He didn't take risks.
That's what you can do.
He was smart. I thought he was screwed on 18 when it went in the woods, and He had no idea where that ball was, and luckily for him, he had kind of a lane there to get it back toward the green. But yeah, that's back-to-back Masters for him. That's major number 6 for him. So I think he tied Sir Nick Faldo yesterday for 6 majors. He is now firmly in the discussion as the greatest European player of all time. And I don't think he's done. Like, he's still playing pretty high level. So it's good stuff from Rory. I mean, he went from 17 years of not winning the Masters, including, by the way, during that stretch, some pretty rough performances at Augusta, to now he's won back-to-back Masters. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Four people ever. Nicholas, Faldo, Tiger,
and him.
And now Rory.
Yeah. Back-to-back years. So congratulations to Rory. But yeah, I hope if you were trying to watch on Xfinity yesterday, I guess you couldn't. So that's a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, I can't keep up with all these. How long has this thing been going on?
I think a couple weeks now.
A couple weeks now?
Yeah.
Towards the end of March, I believe.
So, when basically.
Luckily, the basketball game got switched.
Well, right. So a lot of the later stuff goes to TBS, but still, March in this time period, of course, you're talking NCAA tournament, and then you're talking the Masters. Basically, the peak of CBS, other than if they have the Super Bowl in a given year, right? Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Awesome.
Really.
I mean, screw the people who, are their customers.
Well, and by the way, whenever this stuff getting resolved, in some way or another, it always ends up affecting the consumer, right? Like, they end up having to pay more for something. So we'll see what that looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, it's well, we got the deal figured out. Paramount's going to cost you $55 a month now, but we figured it out. Yeah. There we go.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. Appreciate that. So shout out to Rory for winning the Masters, and Scheffler came in second. So we'll see how it goes.
Like $2.5 million.
Yeah, it's not a bad day.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Not a bad day. I mentioned the Predators. They got the win on Saturday against who the heck they played? Minnesota Wild on Saturday. Sorry, it was all running together there for a second. Minnesota did not play Joel Eriksson-Ek. They did not play Matt Zuccarello. So some of their bigger names out of the line. They did play Quinn Hughes, and they did play Kirill Kaprizov. So it wasn't like they sat everybody on Saturday, but they set down some of their big guns, including their captain, Jared Spurgeon. And the Predators did what they needed to do. They got the win. I thought they started off okay in that game. Second period, I thought they played pretty well in the game. And Steven Stamkos officially reaching the 40-goal mark for the Nashville Predators. So he hits that number. We'll see if Forsberg can also get to that number here in the next 2 games as they try to stay alive and close out the regular season. But pretty cool to see Steven Stamkos in a Nashville Predators uniform at the age of 36 hit that 40-goal mark on Saturday.
Good for him. What a tremendous last 2/3 of this season, about something like that, right around there. If you sliced up the numbers, right around there to the end, I mean that's really it's probably like a 50-goal pace, right? Type season.
Probably so.
Yeah. So tremendous from him, and big response from them staying alive. I mean, that's what it is at this point, is staying in the thing and needing some help for those playing from those playing the Los Angeles Kings.
That is correct. And, you look at this week, there's a chance. I mean, the Predators could be eliminated today, technically. I mean, if the Preds lose in regulation and the Kings win today, then they're done. I mean, the Predators would only be able to get to 88 points if they lose in regulation, and the Kings would then have 89. So you'd be done at that point. So, we talked about it heading into the weekend. The Predators probably have to win all 3. Well, now, I mean, they have to win all 3. Like they've got to win all these games and then hope that you get some help along the way. So they did the first step of that on Saturday by winning against Minnesota. And I mean, if you look at it on the surface, Minnesota is definitely the toughest team that they're going to play. And now you've got San Jose, who you've absolutely dominated in the last 6 years, but this year as well. Like, you've played really well against the Sharks. And then you got Anaheim to close things out on Thursday. Now, I think Anaheim technically, so Anaheim's at 90 points right now, which is the max that the Predators can get to. Technically, if Anaheim doesn't gain another point, LA could pass them, and you could end up getting in the playoffs over the Ducks.
If
they don't get another point. Now, they can't, I mean, they have to lose the next 2 in regulation. And obviously one of those games is against you. So
Right.
that the scheduling part of that helps. But, I mentioned last week that you're going to be pulling heavily for the Vancouver Canucks as they take on the LA Kings. I'm trying to pull up Anaheim's schedule here, but if memory serves me correctly, I believe that the Ducks also play the Vancouver Canucks. No, they don't. They played the Vancouver Canucks yesterday. I'm an idiot. They play Minnesota. So Minnesota tomorrow is who the Anaheim Ducks play. And then they play Nashville here on Thursday. So Minnesota is on the road for the Ducks. Now, Minnesota, I think, is also their fate got locked in on Saturday. So who are they going to be playing? Who are they resting? We just saw them rest guys the other day against the Predators. Do they start to look tomorrow and say, all right, well, Quinn Hughes, you just go ahead and sit down, and Kaprizov, you just go ahead and sit down. And I'm interested to see how John Hines kind of handles that, because they are heading to Dallas. It will be Dallas and Minnesota in the first round, and they got locked into that 3rd spot on Saturday.
Yeah. So, so one side will be desperate, well, possibly, and the other side is kind of like, cruising into the playoffs. Doesn't mean they won't win the game, but very different mindsets. Speaking of Vancouver, they did win at San Jose, which screwed me in weekend winners, but it just goes to show you. I mean, they're capable. They got the Kings coming in after.
They've won 2 in a row.
There you go. Yeah. So that's that time of year.
It's that time of year. They got the Kings coming up tomorrow. I think Kings play Seattle tonight. So there you go. That's what the picture looks like for the Predators as we get into this week. We'll take your thoughts on the playoff picture for the Nashville Predators, and we will get into, I don't know, is it a goaltending controversy later in the show? Coming up here in just a few minutes as well. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
O'Reilly spins it down behind the net. Evangelista for Yossi. Cuts over to his left. From the left circle, the shot stopped. Rebound. Just fired a little bit wide. Comes back now on the right point again. Down to the trapezoid. Pinned there and trying to get free of it. Ryan O'Reilly giving off now for Evangelista. And the stuff of the score. Steven Stamkos. And the Predators take the lead.
The great Pete Weber on the call. Predators win the game on Saturday against Minnesota, and they got 2 more coming up this week to close out the regular season. They're against San Jose tonight at home and close out the year at home on Thursday, taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Stamkos with a goal and an assist on Saturday. Like I said, 40 goals for him. That is the 8th, count them, 8 times in his NHL career that he has reached the 40-goal mark.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Not bad.
Not too shabby.
One of those years there was 60 in there. There's also that. So good to see him continuing the scoring here. We'll see if Forsberg can get to that number. If you're looking at the numbers, Anaheim a 93% chance to get in, according to Money Puck. LA at 80%. Predators at 26.3% to get in. So I almost wonder if you're a Predators fan at this point, you know, what's the more realistic path? Is it LA losing a couple to Seattle, Vancouver, and or Calgary this week? Or are you just being like, come on, Minnesota tomorrow? Like Minnesota beat Anaheim in regulation, and then you can get there. Because then you would need, you'd need LA to come through and pass Anaheim at that point, which I assume that they would. But if you're the Predators, you're at 28 regulation wins. Anaheim's at 25. So Anaheim cannot catch you on the regulation wins front. So if you could find a way to get to 90 and them stay at 90, you could get in. The math is heavily against the Nashville Predators right now, but I almost wonder if that's the more realistic path than LA dropping a couple this week.
Yeah, thank you. It is right. It's just you need one team to help you. So, and it's still a very good team. The guys who are going to be on the ice for the Wild are still going to go out there and try to win, right? And it's a very good team. They'll probably rest some people, but you still like those chances better in one game than you do. I guess the Kings could lose the non-Vancouver game, so that's possible. But the Kraken are out of it too, so they're just as hapless as the Canucks in terms of like having nothing to play for. They're just being a spoiler. They're obviously a better team. What's the last one for the Kings?
I believe it's Calgary.
Yeah, it's at Calgary. So they got these 3 on the road here. Yeah, so another, Yeah, your best bet is if you get that help one time from a good team, and then you have a chance to do it yourself. If you win tonight, of course, that's all part of it.
You have to win the next 2 here if you're the Nashville Predators. So I will admit, on Saturday, they did not have a morning skate on Saturday. So, it was a 4:00 game. So you knew that there wasn't going to be much was Yossi going to play? It was good to see him get back out there on Saturday. So obviously nothing overly serious, but he was able to play. Said after the game that he felt good. So that was good to see on Saturday. But I was wondering, all right, we've talked about it this week. Onanen just came off an unbelievable performance against Anaheim last week. Saros gets out there against Utah. And again, it wasn't really Saros' fault, but the result is what the result is. They lose the game. So I wondered, would Onanen get a chance to get out there and play in a game that you've absolutely got to have on Saturday? Or do you look at it, I guess, more how I looked at it heading into the weekend? It's like, well, you're paying your goalie all this money. It's a must-win type of game. He's going to be the one that plays these last 3 here. Well, warm-ups come around on Saturday, and Justus Onanen starts just trotting his way on the ice. And I was like, oh, so they're going Onanen in this thing. And to his credit, I don't think he was overly tested in that game Saturday until the third period, where Minnesota started to put on, a decent push there in the third period. But he ends up giving up 1 goal in the game, and they win again. So, Joe, here you are today with another game that you have to win with Onanen, who has given up 1 goal in his last 2 starts. I can't remember if it's 63 of his last 64, if it's 64 of his last 65. Either way, that's the amount of saves he's made in the last 2 games. So I was I wasn't stunned, but I was surprised that he got the game on Saturday against Minnesota, given the situation, given the contract, given the pedigree of UC Saros. So my question is, Joe, number one, what do you make of that? And number two, do you have to do it again tonight if you're the Nashville Predators with the way that he's played the last 2 games?
Well, Andrew Brunette put it out there. It's a meritocracy. Who's playing better? Like, I don't care about the big picture of, well, this should be our guy. Well, if that's the case, how do you not go with him again tonight? I think it's very simple. If you don't go with him tonight, that confuses me now. Other than, I guess, just trying to make sure both are really, really rested when they play type thing. But I don't see how the way he's played the last 2 games, you don't ride the hot hand. I think it's very simple. I fully expect him to be in goal tonight. And I understand, the there's bigger implications there, but I mean, at some point, if you have to win, you're trying to win. What gives you the best chance to win? That should be the only question.
I agree. I just, it's still kind of stunning to me that you're talking about a goalie that you've got 7 years left on the deal and you're paying all this money to. And I understand how well Onanen's played. We've talked about that. But like, this is why you pay your goalie like for these games, right? Like, I think that's what, again, I wasn't stunned because we talked about it last week. I think it was a legitimate decision that Andrew Brunette was going to have to make because of Onanen and how, like, Onanen played the best game of the year last Tuesday. Like, full stop. The best game that we've seen a Predators goalie play. He played last Tuesday. But I just thought, given the situation, that, this is why you pay a number 1 goalie. So now I'm kind of with you. Like, he goes out, he plays really well in the game. He's obviously hot right now. Like, he's not, he's swallowing pucks. And Stamkos talked about it again the other night. He's like, it gives you a lot of confidence when your goaltender is just totally swallowing the puck in there and not giving up any sort of rebound whatsoever. And, I don't think he was taking any shots at Saros. I just think he's commenting on how well Onanen's playing right now, to the point where, like, if they do go with Saros tonight, it's like, okay, so why didn't you just start him on Saturday? Like, it's just, it's an interesting spot for Andrew Brunette right now.
Right. You went with him and you ended up being, like, he proved you right.
Yeah.
So to me, you don't need, like, the information is clear right at this moment. And I understand the bigger picture, but there are big picture questions about Saros. And, I don't know. This is interesting too. I have no idea if this would be any sort of factor, but your mind goes to like if Brunette, like, if it was a different situation and, like, Brunette knew he was going to be the coach next year, would he be thinking any differently because there's a longer term ramification? Or is it like, hey man, who knows what my job's going to be. And I'm just trying to win and get in, period.
Well, it's interesting too, from the standpoint of, like, Saros, I don't think is going anywhere, right? Like, he's, number one, he's got a full no move. So he's got total control as to what happens here. But number two, like, there's a new general manager coming in and he's got, a ton of time left on his contract. So I don't think it's going to be, we've talked about this. I don't think it's going to be an easy contract to trade if the new general manager wants to trade it, which I have no idea if they will or not. But it's just interesting to me that, let's say Onanen gets in there today and he plays well and they win again. Well, if that happens, you got to play him Thursday. So you will at that point have closed out the regular season, playing your backup goalie in 3 gotta-have-it games in a row, and who knows whether or not they end up making the playoffs out of that. But let's say they don't. Let's say they win all 3, and L.A., let's say Anaheim gets a point tonight against Minnesota where you can't pass, or tomorrow against Minnesota where you can't pass them, and they win all these games. You're going to, at that point, have your backup goalie come in there and just win all 3 games to close out the year? Like, what's the talking point on that going to be heading into the offseason?
What if they get in?
Well,
what if the exact same thing happens and they get in the playoffs?
Who you start in game 1? Like, exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I just, I don't want to read too much into one game, right? They're coming off a road trip. It was, less than 48 hours after they had played in Utah. But it's a gotta-have-it game that your backup goaltender comes in there for the second time in a week and is just absolute nails in net for you. I just thought it was very interesting, that decision.
Yeah, it is. And, obviously whatever happens tonight, that could change what you would do the next game. But sure. I think you have to let the guy change your mind.
So we'll take your thoughts on that. UC Saros did not play on Saturday. Eustason then came in. He gave up 1 goal. And he's playing really well for the Nashville Predators right now. What do you think will happen tonight in net for the Predators? What do you think should happen? We'll take your thoughts on all that. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Bruno, you had some big decisions today, and you went with Justus Annunen and net. Can you take us through, what was the process in that, and how excited were you to see how big he came up today?
Well, he's been playing exceptional. I mean, both guys have really since the break. I think all the underlying numbers are pretty remarkable. And they've kind of kept us in this fight. So he played really well coming back from a trip, and, we thought we'd go with the hot hand.
As Andrew Burnett, we thought we'd go with the hot hand. It worked. He played well again.
Go with it again.
Have to
go with it again
tonight, don't you?
I think so.
Man,
I mean, what? Saros gets it. It's not the same situation, of course, because Saros was the heir apparent. But there was a transition period too where he was starting to get starts over Pecorine, and there was a question in the bubble series about, well, you're really gonna start Saros instead of Pecorine? Again, it's not the same situation, but you're just going with data. You're just going with who's playing better.
I mean, I hear you. Does he get it though? I mean, he's signed a long-term contract where he's getting paid this money and he's the starting goalie. Like, if I'm him, I'm probably thinking, yeah, man, these are my games. Like, this is why I'm here, is to play and win these games.
Well, I don't know, but I think, I mean, I would think that he would get it. I would think that he would get it because, the guy, the other guy is just playing great. I mean, like you said, who would argue that Annunen's, the one before Saturday was like the best?
That's clearly
game of the year for anybody in net for the Nashville Predators. I mean, it's, and Brunette said right there, and he's not wrong. Like, they both played well since the break, but one of them is the hot hand. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean,
the natural follow-up tonight, though, be like, if you don't go on and it's like, well, you just played the hot hand and now you're playing your starting goalie again. Like, what's happening?
Right.
Isn't he almost like, I don't want to say he's backed into a corner, but like if they play Saros tonight, if you're a Preds fan, are you like, huh? Like, you just talked about playing the hot hand. He won another game. Don't you have to do it again tonight for the Preds?
If you say we decided to go with the hot hand, okay, and then the hand stayed hot, then
exactly.
It's simple. I don't think it's. I think it's simple, man.
I will say morning skate in the National Hockey League has largely become useless. Like, it's a rough time.
But you're excited for it today.
And when you're doing 40 some odd of them a year, it's like, all right, let's just trot on over there for another morning skate. I am very interested in today's morning skate. I really am. Like, when they get out there, assuming that they go through some full routine, which I don't think they practiced yesterday, so they probably will. Like, I am very interested to see who's in that starter's crease this morning. Like, that'd be the number one thing I'm looking at is, all right, which goalie we got out there in the starter's crease?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I suppose if you go Saros, it's like, well, we rode the hot hand and he got us to this point, and now you reset every game and you say, okay, we're going with the franchise goal. I mean, I guess that's the explanation, but I wouldn't do it. I'd go with the hot hand, who 2 straight games has been that at a high level.
J-Dub in Kingston Springs says, ride the hot hand no matter who you're taking time from. The team is bigger than the individual, and momentum is real. Y'all remember when Deontay Foreman should have gotten every touch over Derrick Henry against the Bengals in the playoff game? I do.
Interesting. I remember Deontay Foreman had one big run in that game, and neither of them did anything else much beyond that.
I did not.
That's how I remember it, but
I did not anticipate Deontay Foreman coming.
Yes. How about that? I don't know. That's interesting. But no, Lance says play the hot goalie. Plus, it'll light a fire under Saros's butt. Worst case in the next year. Yeah. I don't know that that's, again, if Saros struggles or, decline in numbers has to do with him like not working or wanting it, I'd be very surprised if that were the case.
Yeah, I don't think that's the.
Now, he can't change his size. He can't change father time, right? So those things are real. I don't know that he needs a fire lit.
Well, to your point, though, like it's all of a sudden become a pretty fascinating scenario, because if you don't start on in it tonight, I think you're sending mixed messages, right? It's like, okay, yes. Well, you just had the hot hand. He's played unbelievably well for you the last 2 games. And again, like I do want to be clear. The Anaheim game and Saturday against Minnesota are not the same thing. They're 2 very different things. Like, I think Minnesota had like 11 shots on goal through the first 2 periods in the game on Saturday. So it wasn't like Annunen was putting on a show
like he did
on
the game
Saturday.
before.
Now he had to make some big saves and big moments in the third period because Minnesota was better than the Predators were in the third period. And that game got to 2-1 pretty quickly. And he had to make some big saves down the stretch, and he did. So that deserves to be pointed out. The Anaheim game was kind of its own thing last week. But if you don't go that way, and Saros is in there tonight, and they lose, oh boy, like that's gonna, not that you make decisions on that, but it's just gonna be loud. Like your fan base is gonna be like, "What are you doing?" Like you just talked about having the hot hand there, and then you go back to Saros and you lose the game. Like I just think that Burnett is in a really interesting spot with this right now, because what happens if they do win these next 2 and they get in? Are you going to go, all right, well, we just played your backup goaltender 3 games in a row that we knew we absolutely had to have. He won all 3 of them. And then we get around to game 1 of the playoffs against Colorado, and it's like, all right, UC Saros back in the net. Like it's, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but it's all of this is within the structure of reality at the moment. We'll see how it goes.
I guess you could think of it if you think about it in those terms, that might be a reason to be like, okay, so give Saros another chance here, because you might still be sitting here and be like, okay, who gives you the best chance of beating Colorado series? I would still argue that UC Saros does, because his highest level of being able to steal a game, which you would need multiple times probably in that series, is still higher than Annunen, right? So
yes,
if you look at it from that perspective, then you kind of are backed into a corner if you actually like just go big juice all week, get in. Like how do you switch from there? You want
to know my official prediction for what's going to happen tonight? UC Saros is going to start this game.
Think so?
That's my official prediction.
Yeah,
and we've just gone through all the reasons why I think that's very interesting. But my guess is when I walk out there to the arena this morning and I walk through the concourse there and I look out there and look at the starters crease, it's probably going to be UC Saros in there. Is my official guess.
Yeah, I won't be shocked if you're right. But then again, you get into the, okay, so you rode the hot hand. The hot hand vindicated you riding the hot hand, and then you said, "Hot hand, sit down. Yeah. We're good." If you're an incoming GM to this job, what would impress you more in terms of Andrew Burnett handling this situation at the end? If there is there even is an answer.
I don't know. I mean, look, if you're Andrew Burnett, I think the only thing that needs to be on your mind right now is, what do I have to do to win tonight's game?
Right.
Like that's the only thing that needs to be on your mind right now, because there's so much beyond that is so up in the air. Like, if they end up missing the playoffs here, you got a new general manager coming in. I have no idea what that's going to mean for Andrew Burnett. I mean, conventional wisdom would tell me, if it's a normal process like most of the NHL goes through, that there's probably another coach, right? Like we talked about that at the time. So, like, if you're Andrew Burnett, I think it's hard. Like, it's hard for me if I'm Andrew Burnett to care about the long-term goaltending future of the Nashville Predators when I don't know that I'm going to be here beyond 2 games, right? It's like, so, like, right now, like, if you're Burnett, I think it's, what do I do? What do I feel like the best chance is to win right now, like tonight's game? And then you worry about Thursday coming up on Thursday. So that part of it's interesting. It's just there's so much else that goes into it from your because if you're an organization, like if you're Bill Haslam looking at this, not that he's making coaching decisions, but if you're Bill Haslam looking at this, it's like, well, we sure are paying this goalie a whole lot of money for him to not be playing in these must-win games right now, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I think also, even from his perspective, right now, what matters? Find a way to win this game, right? So, no, I mean, I think it's simple, and yet I think that it's very easy to make it complicated and do what you think will happen.
I think here's my, I mentioned my official prediction is Saros is in there today. And again, I don't know. I'm just guessing. My guess is when asked for the explanation for that, it will be, well, you're coming off the road trip in Utah. Saros played in that game. And then the game Saturday was less than 48 hours later, and we went with Donovan. And now that Saros has had some rest, they'll throw him back in there.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Don't lose.
Yeah. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Lots of your thoughts to get to on this. We'll continue the discussion. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. It is Reaction Monday, brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Taking your thoughts on the Predators at 615-737-1025. Justus Onanen in net on Saturday. Another good performance from him, and the Preds have another gotta-have-it game tonight, taking on the San Jose Sharks. Taking your thoughts on all that.
Vingan's in the YouTube chat again. Do we need to scream
see
at
that.
Vingan?
He is in the YouTube chat again.
Adam, there's got to be something around the homestead you can be doing right now. No, someone mentioned that he was vindicated. He immediately, ears perked up, and got into the – and he's like, vindicated on what? I think he called for – didn't he call for them to start Big Juice last week? I think I heard that.
I believe that's
on their
correct.
show. So I think that's what they're talking about. Vingan, you know. Now, I need to address Kurt.
Okay.
Or Kurt West in the YouTube chat. It says, based on what data Saros is better in the playoffs? Well, one piece of data would be that Onanen has never played in the playoffs because he's a backup goalie.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that Saros's playoff record is not sterling. He also has stood on his head. If you go back to that Carolina series, it certainly did not have a good bubble series. Didn't play in the Colorado series. And it's a limited sample size. It's not all bad. And you know, the he's never won a playoff series thing. Again, like had they beaten Carolina, that would have been a pretty big upset when they took him to 6. And again, he was a big part of them taking him to 6. So there's a pretty big difference just in terms of one of them being a starting goalie who has circled around the Vezina before, and one of them being a backup goalie who's hot hand right now and playing very well. So that's the data, that there is data for one of them and not for the other.
Cam says it's a lose-lose for Bruno. He starts Onanen and we lose. Fans are not going to be happy. If he starts Saros and we lose, he made the wrong decision. This from Cam on the text.
So if he wins, it'll be good. And if he loses, it'll be bad. I think that's true. Yeah, it's not a lose. To me, it's simple. I'm sorry, but it's simple. It's meritocracy just based on how things are going right now. Again, let's take it to, I mean, someone's yelled at me about how I totally missed that Deontay Foreman was an amazing player. It's crazy how he never did anything in the NFL before or since, but I know nobody knows ball, but
there's so much Deontay Foreman talk today.
Who knew we'd have a Deontay Foreman festival today? But this is, you could make the comparison of Brady Bledsoe if you wanted to, right? Now, granted, Brady did a lot more than Onanen's doing now, but and of course Bledsoe was hurt, but then
Justus
later
Onanen is Tom Brady.
I know.
Joe Rexrode, you heard it here first.
Saros is a combination of Drew Bledsoe and Derrick Henry. There we go. We've got it figured out.
By the way, Deontay Foreman in 2022 with the Carolina Panthers, 203 carries, 914 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Okay.
He just got the ball a lot that next year. And then that was about all she wrote for Deontay Foreman after that. Played in Chicago and then Cleveland. That's it.
He did have a good carry in that game. But by the way, this person, J-Dub, who's telling me I need to do a college basketball show, says, I said, I covered all those games. Go cry somewhere. He said, we can have our riff, Joe. I'll still defend you as the last true sports journalist in this age of hot takes, but I will not let Deontay Foreman's ghost be disrespected. Okay. That's very dramatic of you.
Can we get back on how you compared Justus Onanen to Tom Brady real quick?
I'm trying to change the subject, man.
That's what I'd really
Would you
like
please help me change the subject?
That's what I'd really like to focus in on today. Look, I think the comments we played a couple segments ago, or maybe his last segment, I can't remember, are interesting to me because Brunette, the way he phrases, like we rode the hot hand. It's like, well, like when your coach says it that way, it's like, well, if you rode the hot hand and the hand remained hot, I'm no genius, but that would tell me you just keep going tonight, right?
You don't dunk it in ice water.
Yeah.
You keep it going.
Like he didn't to me sound like a coach that was just like hell bent on Saros. Now, granted, like he wasn't really asked about the next game in the immediate aftermath of that game, and maybe that's the fault of the media. Maybe we should have done a better job at that point. I don't know what he would have said at that point, but one of the things this morning, the tough part is we'll probably know the answer before the press conference. Maybe we'll see how the Predators decide to handle their morning skate this morning. But we'll probably know by the time Andrew Burnett speaks this morning who was in the starter's crease at the morning skate, right? Like we'll probably understand who's going to be starting the game tonight. So, but let's say we don't. Let's say they run through some sort of optional today, and I don't know. Like one of the things I'm going to ask Andrew Burnett is like, so how are you weighing this decision tonight? Like what goes into your decision-making process of who's going to play in goal for you tonight? Because I think the answer to that is very interesting.
Yeah. There's other stuff. There's opponent, there's matchup stuff, right, that you can dig in on.
Sure.
That may be significant enough to move the needle. But yeah, it comes down to are you gonna go with right now the guy who's playing better, or do any of the big picture elements of the decision creep into the decision? Because I think if you don't let that happen, and as you said, it's just about winning one game. What information right now is telling you to go back to Saros? I mean, the information is telling you to stick with what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean the information to go back to Saros will be more related to pedigree and contract. Like who's playing better right now, it's Anand, right? I don't think it's, and it doesn't mean that Saros is playing bad, because Saros I do think has played well since the Olympic break, but Anand is undoubtedly playing better right now. He just is. Now, the other part of this is this will be the third time that they have played San Jose in the last 3 weeks, and Saros started both of those games and won. So do you factor that in if you're Andrew Burnett?
Okay, well, there is that. Jason Goodsville says, I've texted you guys a couple of times. Annan is on. I have an Annan problem.
Has developed half the people in the organization.
Yeah.
Too, so.
Yeah. Actually, I'd love to hear how Poyle would say his name. Anunen?
I have heard some of that.
Has developed enough for the Preds to deal Saros. More specifically, the bad contract of an offer came. Annunen can play calm because of his size. Doesn't have to move as much. Yeah, that's all fine. Again, as you pointed out earlier, I mean, Saros does have the trade protection out. I think if there was you get to a point where they're going to move him, then it's like this team wants you. By the way, maybe this team might be winning more than, for example, I think he'd probably waive it, right? I mean, I think a lot of these no movement clauses, it's basically like if it gets to the point where, you know, it makes sense to trade someone, they get waived a lot.
That is true.
So we've moved on to trading Saros now.
Joe is
Drew Bledsoe. Goodbye.
In this segment, Joe has traded Saros and has compared Annunen to Tom Brady. We'll take your reaction to that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. More coming up on the Preds. We will get into the NFL draft in the next hour as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be along for his weekly visit coming up at 8 o'clock. We will get into the Predators, the Titans, the NFL draft, all sorts of things with Corey Curtis coming up later in the program. Later this hour. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. As people in the YouTube chat have pointed out, Justus Sonnen equals Tom Brady, according to Joe. So that means the Stanley Cup championships are about to start rolling in for the Nashville Predators.
Just the beginning. It's just the beginning. How old is Annunen?
26, I think.
He's not that old.
Right.
I think they said this week.
Just getting started.
26. Ian nailed it.
In all seriousness, on the long-term goalie front, how excited are people about Ivankovic in the organization?
I don't know.
He had a very good year for Michigan.
He did. Yes.
They choked in the Frozen Four like they always do, but he had a very good year.
Think about that tandem here in about 2-3 years. Of
Ivankovic and
him and
Annunen.
Annunen. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can really get after it.
Ivankonen?
Saros is playing in KHL. Be good to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Rexrode has sent Saros to the Finnish league over there.
I have seen the future. Wasn't Pekka trying to play a little bit over there too? He's
think he
getting
did.
a game here and
played a
there.
couple games
They could
over
be
there.
could be teammates again.
I think he did. One texter says, is it just me or do the Predators play better defense with Annunen in net versus Saros? He says, it's not an excuse for either. I just feel Saros in net is a crutch where they tend to be more reckless. I don't know that I buy that. I mean, look, frankly, the defense wasn't very good against Anaheim last week, and Annunen bailed them out, right? I mean, what was not that everything gets, affected, but I think the expected goals were close to 6 in that game for Anaheim.
Well, speaking of our peanut butter and jelly sandwich making with no crust, friend Vingen making Arlo his lunch, I heard him on DVD say that was the greatest goals above expected game in the era of that stat, at least for whatever, I don't know.
Sport Logic.
Was that Sport Logic? So that's something.
It's pretty good.
I mean, yeah, I don't think
that does not suggest great defense.
No,
either.
that is not a endorsement for the defense that night. And again, so he's a hot hand. So you played him again, and like you said, it wasn't the same thing, but you won and you gave up 1 goal.
Yeah,
you have to win tonight. What other information matters?
Look, I mean, the more we talk about it, the more I think I'm with you. I guess I need to believe
it's wild.
I need to believe it. Or need to see it to believe it that they're going to just make Saros ride the pine down the stretch here in this situation. Like,
yeah,
everything you're saying makes sense, and I think I'm with you. I for some reason in my head will not allow myself to go there that they are actually going to do this, given everything we know about like how much they love Saros, how much they've defended Saros, like all these different things. It's difficult for me to allow myself to get there that they're actually going to follow through with this.
Yeah, well, and that all makes sense. But then when you do what you did Saturday, well, okay, you just changed the conversation.
I know it.
And what you did Saturday worked. So that's fascinating. I mean, what I think should happen, what I think is simple, and what I think will happen may not be the same thing. I mean, I might drift your way where it's just like, well, you ultimately have to, like, here's a big game. What are you going to, what are you going to do? Who are you going to go? How are you not going to go with your guy?
Well,
but again, you just didn't.
And think about this too. Like, let's say they go Saros tonight. It's the stakes are already big. Like, you got to win, right? It's a high pressure game from the standpoint of you got to win it. But look, you could kind of feel it in the locker room. Like Stamkos talked about it. You're going to see whatever their best level of effort is over the last week here. You're going to see it. Like, I'd be stunned if they don't come out tonight, play really well. And by the way, like San Jose, I mean, the math is really far against them. They're not officially eliminated yet, but they could be tonight. Like, the Predators ought to come out there and just absolutely take it to San Jose tonight based on where teams are right now in the standings. But you could kind of feel like Stamkos in the midst of his post-game media session the other day was, it's good to get the win. We're playing well. We're gonna spill it these last 2 games, but it sucks to not really be in control of it right now, right? Like they're very aware that they are at the mercy of the LA Kings and the Anaheim Ducks right now. So there's pressure that goes along with it anyway. But if you're Saros tonight getting this game, think about the pressure of the flip side of that if you lose,
right?
Given what just happened with Annunen in the last 2 games he was in there. Doesn't that creep into your mind a little bit if you're him?
Yeah. I mean, he'd probably prefer that and have that extra pressure than to sit and be passed over by his backup at the most important time of the year. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. JC bringing up a good point. Is Annunen inflating his pads? It's a Brady-like move. This is a good question.
There's no room to shoot out there. Good grief!
Just a big, like one of those sumo dolls.
You can't even see anybody. They can't even see the net behind him. It's unbelievable. Let's head back to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in George in the borough to the program. George, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, gentlemen. I absolutely think this is a goalie controversy. You just gave a guy an 8-year mega deal, and basically to me, they benched him on Saturday. And Robby, I think you're a little right. If they play Saros tonight, they'll use they just came back from a long road trip. We're going to go with Annunen. I think that's bull crap. I think they benched Saros. I would absolutely play Annunen tonight. I think Annunen definitely is the hot hand. I think credit Brunette for playing Annunen on Saturday. I was there at the game. I absolutely think this potentially could be an issue for Saros. I think he has a no move, right?
Yeah.
So I absolutely think this is an issue. I think Trotz, I think this UC Saros contract is a mess. I think it's a bad move. But then again, they went out and got Annunen. Trotz did, and I guess the goalie scouts identified him. So if you're Brunette, you've got to know you're on your way out, most likely, right? So I give Brunette credit, actually, for playing Annunen. I'd play him again tonight. I am a little scared they are going to play Saros. If you're Brunette, just win the game. I would go with Annunen, but that's my 2 cents worth. Love your show. That's
Thank you, George. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, the when you look at the situation, try to take yourself and move it to the 30,000 foot view of it. What if I told you before the season and you didn't know how the start of the year went? You didn't know anything except, hey, the last week of the regular season, they're going to come home for a 3-game homestand to close this out. And they're going to have to win all 3 of those games to have a chance to get in the playoffs. Who's going to be the starting goalie for the first of those 3 games? And everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
If you'd have said anything other than UC Saros in all 3 of those games before the year, they'd have told you're crazy. Now, look, I realize there's some context in that you have to factor in. They did just play in Utah on Thursday. They've played a ton of games this year in a very short amount of time. It's not just them. It's the whole league. The Olympic break has been crazy. So, the schedule is part of this. And, part of the context, too, is the game that Annunen played last week against Anaheim. It's just Annunen's numbers over the last couple of months are incredible. They're really good. So all that factors into this. But just on the surface, think about that. You got 3 games that you're going to have to win to have a chance to get in the playoffs. If I'd have told you that before the year and that everybody was healthy, there's no way anybody would ever said anybody but Saros is in those games. No way.
No. And if you said this, then it's I guess if it was the beginning of the year, then I guess my assumption would be some combination. Okay, so Saros is having a terrible year / Annunen has become this incredible revelation, and neither of those is true. It hasn't been a great year for Saros. Annunen has had a nice year, but obviously it's just very recent information.
Yeah,
right. So no one would have believed that. So. Yeah, the whole Brunette's on his way out. I guess is this just like a YOLO kind of, Brunette? I mean, again, I think it makes sense. But if it were a different situation, Trotz didn't announce his resignation, whatever. And it was, Brunell will probably be back next year as a coach. Is it any different?
I don't know. To me, that's a really good question. I do think with, if you're him, like we talked about, like it makes it pretty simple, right? In terms of just like the way that he approaches it. The only thing you got to be thinking about if you're him right now is, how do I win this game at 7:00 tonight? And then after that, if you can do it, well, how do I win this one coming up on Thursday? Like, that's the only thing that needs to be in his mind right now. And if he feels like Annunen is the best shot, you kind of have to do it if you're him, right?
Yeah. And I don't know why. Like,
I'm going to talk myself back into Annunen by the time the show's over.
Yeah.
Not official prediction.
Well, yeah, you're going to have to come with it. Yeah. We demand by like 8:54, like your official call. But yeah. And I really do think it's simple. I really do. Ryan Clarkson with Saros gets it tonight because he owns San Jose.
He does own San Jose.
Yeah. The Preds do, right? But yeah, I mean, you could go that. You could do the rest thing as a reasoning for it. But again, when you say the hot hand thing Saturday, that to me, it's not like, well, yeah, sorry, the long trip and like we need to use everything that we've got. Okay, fine. Then we all expect Saros to start now. When you say hot hand and the hand stays hot, like how do you switch?
How far in advance do you think they plan out who's starting which games? They probably pencil it kind of like a starter in baseball. Hey, you get this game. If you're the backup, don't you want to be prepared maybe a little bit? Hey, you get this game. How far in advance do they pencil that in, and what goes into changing that after it kind of being settled?
If they do pencil it in, it would guarantee it was penciled in that Saros was starting this game.
Yeah,
you would think so.
Yeah,
I think this time of year though, that's very much in pencil. I think there are certain times of year where it's pretty much in pen, right? Like when you're in November, even if you're going through a rough stretch, if you've got your backup goalie, plan to start, like very rarely you're seeing coaches deviate from that in November. It's like, no, we need to get
any back-to-back and then here and there,
you give them the start. But this time of year, game 80, game 81, I think it's everything is just kind of, it's all about what are the chances that we have to win, right?
Yeah. Big juice. Big Brady.
Tom Brady. The Pharaoh, 615-737-1025. Our phone number. A lot more of your thoughts to get to on the Predators. We will continue that discussion. We will get into the NFL draft later this hour. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Preds fans, tomorrow is the final Smashville Live of the season. 102.5 The Game be broadcasting live from Brewhouse South in Cool Springs at 6 o'clock. You can meet your Predators star players up close and personal. So your chance for autographs and pictures. Smashville Live presented by Gary Force Acura. Taking your thoughts on the Predators, who are in action again tonight, taking on the San Jose Sharks, a must-win game for the Predators. The playoff race, as we discussed earlier in the show, Preds are at 86 points. LA is 1 point in front of them at 87. LA's max that they can get to is 93. So they have 93 possible points on the table. The max the Predators can get to is 90. So you need LA to drop one and then lose out on a point somewhere else. You would win the tiebreaker with LA. Like LA, as we've discussed, apparently can't play very many games without going to overtime. So they only have 21 regulation wins. The Predators are at 28. So if you end up tied with LA, you will win the tiebreaker. But LA has Seattle, Vancouver, Calgary left on the schedule. So maybe a tall task to think that they're going to lose 3 points during that stretch of games, but it is the National Hockey League, and I have seen crazier things. Tough missed opportunity on that front, and they lost, or when they beat Edmonton 1-0 on Saturday.
Yep. Who had the shutout of Edmonton?
Yeah.
On the bingo card. Not that people play bingo that much, but everybody has a bingo card.
They do.
Shout out to Burrow Bricks on the YouTube chat. It says, is it even up to Bruno or is it up to the goalie coach? Ben Vanderklark, take it over. The Vanderklark veto. Sit down, Bruno.
I kind of love that thought.
I do too. I'm just messing with you, Burrow
Vanderklark
Bricks.
marches in the office like, hey, Bruno, shut up.
Yeah.
Here's who you're starting in goal tonight.
Guess what, buddy? I'm the goalie coach. I'm the captain now.
I love every bit of this. I think that should be how it goes down. Let Vanderklark decide.
I agree. I think that we should in sports just have the position coaches make all the decisions, you know? How would that have worked out? How would that have worked out for maybe if that were the case, Deontay Foreman would have gotten all the touches in that game. The Titans would have gone to the Super Bowl.
Maybe Vanderklark.
Sit down, Derrick Henry.
You know, I've been making the Onanen Brady comparison for a long time. And Vanderklark he's been waiting for that opportunity tonight.
Hey, Bruno, we got Tom freaking Brady in this locker room, and you're not going to play him? Nah. Wrong.
So many mental images today. I mean, there's so much Deontay Foreman talk. I can't get the mental image of Onanen pumping up his pads out of my head now either. It's like, wow, Deflategate in the NHL. Those goalie pads are enormous out there.
Do they? Is there a standard, like a measurement? Like,
I'm sure there is some sort of standard.
Have the refs ever
measured a goalie pad?
Like looked at the goalie pads? You know, like, we got to check out this guy's goalie pads.
You guys kind of look like a beach ball out here. What's going on?
Just bouncing
why
around.
Why are your pads so big
in front of the? Just tie yourself to the goal.
I mean, I have had I've got some buddies that are not necessarily hockey inclined. Who one of them asked me one time, I was like, "Hey, why don't they just go hire like some enormous dude,
right.
like some 600-pound dude, and just put him in net so he just covers up the whole net?" I was like, "Well, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's ever tried that." The hard part about that is you're on skates, and eventually you'll end up on your butt if you can't operate on skates.
But even though you're on skates, are you not allowed to just sit crisscross applesauce with your skates on?
How big a guy are we talking? I mean, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's probably humans big enough. It's a fair question. Here's a serious comment by April in Portland. Says, I've always been a fan of Saros. Want him signed. Don't regret his contract. I think it's good. We got a good deal. All that said, Big Juice has a hot hand. You have to play him. I still think Saros is a better goaltender. He's the only reason the Preds are in this thing from the beginning of the year. That's all reasonable. Yeah, I think there's plenty of there are people who are down on Saros, probably a little bit too down on Saros, right? And someone's asking, what if we had a Skarov and Big Juice? I don't know that people would be predicting Stanley Cup waterfalls
early in the year. You'd have been probably, I don't know. I mean, they were bad early in the year with them.
That's true, but it would have been even worse.
Yeah, it would have been worse.
But also, even people who like April, who are big supporters of Saros, are hot hand. Win the game. Figure out a way to win the game tonight.
Well, look, this is again why I think we've made the Brady Onanen joke today. This is another example why I think the quarterback goalie comparison that people make a lot is just horrific. It's just a horrible comparison.
Yeah.
Can you imagine in this exact scenario being like, Yeah, I know they got Josh Allen in there, but we're going to throw Mitch Trubisky in the game. Like, he's going to play because he came in relief and played well.
Yeah, no, it is in many ways a flawed comparison. It's probably the best comparison would be maybe like a starting pitching decision in the postseason. Maybe
that's pretty good.
You have enough rest, and it's like, why wouldn't you go with the Cy Young winner? But it's like, yeah, but this young guy is on an absolute heater, and he's thrown 17 and third scoreless innings, and the Cy Young guy got shelled last time. Something like that. That's probably your closest thing to this.
By the way, Martin asking if Anaheim's still in play in the playoff race as well. They are. So Anaheim's at 90, and they have struggled as of late. They cannot get one more point. If they get one more point, they have clinched a playoff spot. Now, Anaheim plays Minnesota tomorrow on the road. So if the Wild can beat them in regulation and the Predators win tonight, then you have Anaheim coming up on Thursday at home in the finale. Now, Minnesota is locked into that third spot in the Central, and we saw Minnesota rest some guys on Saturday against the Predators. They did play Quinn Hughes. They played, Matt Boldy. They played Kirill Kaprizov. But I wonder, now that they know that they're playing Dallas on the road in the first round, do they look at, their game tomorrow and say, all right, Quinn Hughes, go upstairs. Kirill Kaprizov, you ain't playing tonight. Like, I just wonder what that looks like for Minnesota now. In a game that means absolutely nothing to them.
I would do that.
I probably would too. Now, you can't sit everybody. Like, there's only a certain amount of guys you can sit, but I'd be really strategic about who that is if I'm John Hines.
Does John Hines think a little, I'm going to rest a little bit more, my guys, because I don't really care that the Preds get in the playoffs, and I frankly would like to see them not.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'd be okay losing this game.
Maybe.
To screw those guys over.
Yeah, could be possible. That's just, Minnesota's had a great year, and now their reward is going on the road and taking on the Dallas Stars in the first round of the playoffs.
Good playoff format.
Yeah, it's good stuff. They're at 102 points, and they're going to go play the team that at the moment is the third best team in the league.
Sure.
They have Colorado's at 115. Carolina is at 110. And third in the league is the Dallas Stars in 108, and that's to Minnesota, who has 102 points, is going to play in the first.
So your reward for a 100-point season is that.
Here's the Dallas Stars. Have fun.
I just don't. So the whole reasoning is the rivalries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please stop.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will get back into the Nashville Predators in the 8 o'clock hour. We've got some thoughts on the NFL draft. Coming up next, take your thoughts, 615-737-1025. The Rob Rant coming up at 7:45. All that ahead, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Our football offseason coverage brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works, locally brewed, community-driven. Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of football offseason coverage here on ESPN 1025 The Game. We will have the Rob Rant coming up here in just a few minutes. Corey Curtis from News 2 for his weekly visit at 8 o'clock. Joe, a story coming out on the Ruben Bain front. Now, apparently this has been, I guess, known in NFL circles for a while, but this came out over the weekend that Ruben Bain was involved in a automobile accident in 2024 in which a passenger died because of injuries later sustained in the crash. Bain was cited for careless driving for the accident that occurred at about 4 a.m. local time on March the 17th. Of 2024 in Miami. And the crash report alleges Bain was driving a 2021 Land Rover SUV that had 3 other passengers. Bain's vehicle rear-ended another car, veered into a concrete barrier, and then ricocheted into another barrier before coming to a rest on the shoulder of the highway. Obviously, I mean, this is a tragic story where somebody ends up dead in the accident. Like I said, this apparently has been known in NFL circles for a while, but just reported on this weekend. So I have no idea, Joe, what that's going to mean for Ruben Bain when it comes to the draft. My guess is probably not a ton, but that was the newsworthy item when it comes to the NFL draft prospects this weekend is that report on Ruben Bain.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like reading through this stuff. Like, my one of my first things that comes to mind is, what state was he in driving? There was no sobriety test according to the crash report given to him. But yeah, I feel like we've had a few in recent years, sort of like story that was kept under wraps one way or the other that kind of came out, right around draft time.
Yep.
It's interesting, when you see this stuff get pushed out like this, then of course you're always also wondering, like, okay, why now?
Why now?
Is it, yeah, and the reason is someone feels like it can help them in some way as the draft approaches. But tragic situation, and certainly something that everybody's going to talk about. I think there's been some subtle references to this in some of the coverage of the draft. So as far as I know, maybe some teams have even asked him about it already.
Yep.
But I don't know that it makes that big of a difference unless there's information that we don't have.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a terrible situation. I mean, somebody lost their life in this, so it's a terrible situation. I mean, sometimes car accidents happen, unfortunately. So, I mean, from the reports, it doesn't sound like there's anything that's like overly nefarious here, as you mentioned. I mean, there was no field sobriety test given at the time. He was cited for careless driving, but that was kind of the lone part of this. I'm reading ESPN.com that David Hale put out there, and there was a statement that was given to the read optional from the family of the person who died. It said, quote, "Tragic accident, and that they wish Mr. Bain the best as he continues his life and career." So that was a statement from the family of the person who died in this incident. So it just kind of sounds like a really bad accident and a tough break there for Ruben Bain on that front. But on the draft, like I saw some conversation this weekend, it's like, well, is he going to drop to like the teens now or the late first round in the draft when you factor in all this and the short arm stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I still think the short arm stuff is probably going to end up being like to the eye of the beholder of the team when it comes to where he's going to get drafted at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't, maybe some teams had an idea, some didn't. So maybe one team that didn't had him in his spot, and now they're like, or doubt. Who knows? Ultra long. I mean, one thing about situations like this is, so charges being dropped. I mean, I can tell you as a longtime, college beat writer, look, part of my job is that I would regularly run names of the roster into the local court to make sure I'm not missing some sort of criminal situation. Like that's part of the, so, I mean, something like this, it's not that surprising to me that it doesn't come out. If there end up being no charges, like it's. I mean, you guys, I guess, you still would hope that you might hear like there was an accident or this and that. But it seems like the family kind of want to stay private, and obviously they put out a statement of support. So to them, it's a tragic situation. No ill will. He was probably close to this person. Probably tragic and horrible for him to deal with it and go through this, right?
Yep.
So if something like this doesn't result in charges, it's a pretty easy way for it to not come to light.
Our friend of the show, Nick Baumgartner, has redrafted the 2025 NFL draft at the Athletic. So we've already entered into a redraft of 2025.
Okay.
You'll be excited to know, still has Cam Ward going number 1 to the Titans.
Okay.
So good there for the Tennessee Titans that Nick Baumgartner, friend of the show, would once again draft Cam Ward at number 1.
And he says, despite the fact I thought the Titans weren't ready to draft a QB, and they really weren't, Ward did survive his rookie season. He made improvements, so there's still hope. If the Titans can continue to support him, he could blossom into a quality starter.
He's alive.
I think that's fair. Yeah, he got through. He's still a quarterback in the NFL. Still plays for the Tennessee Titans. But no, I mean, I think Nick had that. That's what we talked about a lot. Is like if you're this bad, and understandably, this is what happens. Teams this bad draft quarterbacks number 1. But if you're this bad, and also maybe this isn't like a guy who completely puts an entire franchise on his back as some number 1 are. Should you have drafted him? Well, we talked about that a lot. But here he is. I think that's a little bit of validation, I guess, that someone else would still draft him number 1.
A friend of the show, Nick Baumgartner, whose opinion we value greatly here on this program.
I'm trying to think, is there anything else like shocking here?
Well, Jackson Dart has moved into the top 5. He says the original Giants pick where they took Abdul Carter, he would then take Jackson Dart.
Okay, taking him 3rd. Yeah, still going Will Campbell.
Yeah,
that one surprises me.
Was interesting.
Like, that one surprises me.
Okay.
So okay, future guard.
Had Travis Hunter all the way to 11, by the way.
Yeah,
11 to San Francisco, and then Jacksonville. It is. Look, I understand if they had listened to future NFL general manager Joe Rexrode at the time, then they would have known that Travis Hunter projects to be a pretty darn good NFL cornerback and maybe not NFL cornerback and like full-time wide receiver. So that's all great. The fact that they gave the Jags gave up as much as they gave up to go get him and draft him where they did, and then immediately, basically into his career, like, never mind. He's not playing receiver anymore. He's going corner. It's kind of amazing to me.
Yeah, they're idiots, and they should pay for it. So we'll see if they, because that could end up haunting them. Now, I think he has great corner in his future. For that to be even close to validated, he has to be like a top 2 or 3 corner for a long time in the NFL. I think he could be, but the good news is, if you're a Jags fan, at least they've figured out, okay, let's put him at corner and let's see if he can be great there.
I mean, the good news, if you're a Jags fan, is they did what they did last year and won the division and had a great year in Liam Cohen's first year, basically with him being a non-factor. I mean, he played 7 games. And look, he had some good moments. Like he had 1 touchdown as a receiver. He made a couple of big catches. Showed some nice things on the defensive side of the ball. So it's not like he did nothing. But the majority of what they accomplished last year was without him even playing. So I guess you feel good about that if you're a Jags fan of, all right, well, we did all that without him. And then if he turns out to be a really, really good corner, well, great. Then maybe that starts to justify a little bit where he was picked.
You do. But if you went back and you did what Baumgartner's saying here, which is taking Nick Emenwari, who I think is going to be there was so much talk about him. He's kind of a tweener, but he's a chess piece. So then you had him on your defense for the long term, and you didn't give up any of that other stuff. Now you'd be cooking with gas.
You would be. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. We'll have the Rob rant coming up next. Corey Curtis will be with us at 8:00. All that ahead. Tee it up with us at the 5th annual 615 Open coming up May the 28th at Hermitage Golf Course. We are once again supporting Folds of Honor to help them fund life-changing scholarships for families of America's fallen heroes. You can register now to play or sponsor at 615open.com. This is Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
Welcome back to the Fat and Bald Show. You see us more now.
You're bald.
Cam, why did you fumble the ball instead of scoring a touchdown, Cam? Hi there, Captain Jack.
Captain Jack will get you high tonight.
A heavy buzz. What's up, Major Tom?
Ground control to Major Tom.
Brady also ran like a diseased goat.
Which one of you has gout?
Joe, you don't know ball even when they play real football.
So who's right? Me, not you.
Son, you just listen to me. Things are going to be fine. It is that time of the day. Time for the Rob Rant here on the program, brought to you by Rapid Response Generators. Power when it matters the most. Check it out today at rapidresponsegenerators.com. I have Corey Curtis coming up here at 8 o'clock to begin the next hour. So my rant today, Joe, directed towards CBS. Look, the Masters, I think, is one of the great sporting events every year. I think CBS, for the most part, does an outstanding job covering the Masters. And it's, as Jim Nantz mentioned on the broadcast yesterday, I believe it is the longest running partnership in the history of American sports, CBS and the Masters. So it's been on CBS forever. It's awesome. For the most part, they do a great job. I thought they were really bad yesterday. Like, Jim Nantz is Jim Nantz, and he was great, and all that's fine. Like, the commentary was fine. But, I saw people on social media talking about this. Early in the round, you have Rory McIlroy choking away a lead, and he came in leading. At one point, he was down 3 shots. So he's kind of fading. Justin Rose is coming up. He's playing well. And in the backdrop of all that, you got Scotty Scheffler, who's gone 2 under through 3 holes, who is the number 1 player in the world, who everybody has, made all these comparisons to, like he's the closest thing to Tiger Woods since Tiger Woods. And like 5 holes go by and you never see him tee off. Like it's like, whoa. So Scotty's in the fairway out here. How'd he get there? And nobody knows. Like there's no coverage of him teeing off. It's like, what's happening here? Like, and so I start to look around. Some of my friends are texting me. I look on social media and they're like, it's just people tagging CBS. Like, are you guys aware that Scotty Scheffler's playing in the tournament? Do you guys maybe think we don't want to watch the number 1 golfer in the world in the Masters on Sunday in contention? Now, obviously, as it got later and, they got into the back 9 and he moved into 3rd place, then he moved into 2nd place, you started seeing every shot that he made. But I couldn't believe it. Early in the round, I was like, when's the last time I saw Scheffler tee off? I have no idea. Like, he's just out in the middle of the fairway or in the rough, and nobody has any idea how he got there.
That's weird. Yeah, when I was watching, they were all over him. But, again, that's me. I watched the last, 5 holes of the Masters. So, but that's really weird. Like, if you're them, who's – obviously, Rory's going for, 2nd straight.
And that's fine. Like, I don't mind showing Rory and, guys toward the top of the league.
But who else would be more interesting to people?
They kept showing, Colin Morikawa and showing, some of these, he's like, here's a putt for somebody to tie for 12th so they can get in an invite for next year. And it's like, I don't care. And here's another thing. All respect to Rory. I could not care less, nor could most people watching the American broadcast, about the Hollywood Golf Club in Northern Ireland watching him play. I don't care. I think they went back to the live cam of his home course in Ireland about 75 times throughout the course of the broadcast. I was like, oh my goodness, I get it. They're watching him play. We do not, as an American audience, care about Rory McIlroy's hometown watching him play. Show it 5 or 6 times. Show it a couple times after he wins. You don't have to show it every 2 minutes like they did on the broadcast.
Those Guinnesses look good though. But yeah, that's a fair point. That's a strange decision. Like, to not know, this is a guy who people are really, really into. Yeah. And Chad points out on the text line, the camera work this weekend wasn't very good either. Look, and I have some sympathy for that. It's golf. Frankly, it's a kind of one of the most amazing things in sports journalism is how I've always been fascinated with this, how these camera people in these golf tournaments track the ball as well as they do. It's amazing to me that they're able to do that because
there are plenty of times that I'm on the course and I hit my ball and I have no idea where it is. I'm like, well, I couldn't tell you where that ball just went. So like yesterday on 18, Rory hits it off in the woods. Cam Young hits it off to the side. They're kind of on opposite sides of the course, and they both hit their second shot, and the camera didn't follow either one of them. Like we had no idea where the ball was on the 18th green coming up. And like Rory's, obviously it's a really important shot in the tournament, and it ends up in the bunker right next to the green. So it's not like it was like that far off or anything. Like the fact that we couldn't get that shot, I thought was bad. Look, the standard for the broadcast of the Masters at CBS is really high. And I just think that they didn't think it was very good this weekend.
They didn't deliver. And then a lot of the comments are what we talked about earlier, which is the
wouldn't know.
Yeah,
couldn't watch it.
Well, there's that
exactly. That's then you have a lot of the comments, which is the
couldn't watch it because Comcast is in the middle of a dispute.
Yeah, another one. Yet another one.
Yeah.
Yet another one that happens when a something no coincidence, but when a big event's coming up. And the viewers get screwed.
Yeah. Usually those are like momentum to get it done.
But lately we've had a few where it's like, no,
you missed some stuff and
you missed some.
Yeah, you missed some ESPN YouTube stuff, right? Earlier this year.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah. We've gotten into, let it bleed into screwing over the people.
One texter says, fully agree. Felt like Scheffler and Justin Rose were MIA all day. Also felt like it was almost a scripted result because of how much they were hyping up Rory. Like, oh, look, Rory's leading the tournament heading into the day. Like, you got to be prepared if you're the broadcast for him to win. And look, Rory is, at this point, he's won 6 majors. He's a very popular golfer. Like, I understand, like, I have no problem with you giving Rory coverage. All right, that's fine. But when Scheffler's teeing off on like the 7th hole and we don't see it because you're showing some random dude chipping in a putt to get to 1 over on the day, and it's like, great. I don't care about that. Go to the number 1 golfer in the world and let's see every shot he hits on Sunday in the Masters.
Well, and that's the thing is obviously, you're watching. If you watch the broadcast, sometimes you'll hear a roar from afar, and then you'll go and hear this is what the roar was. It was so it's not like you can't do it. You can show any of these shots.
Yeah, it was a couple times. Scheffler. One time he was in the middle of the fairway, and the other time he was like in the woods. I was like, oh, cool. How'd he end up there? I have no idea. Awesome.
But Dennis has the comment of the day. Dennis, who, by the way, great illustration last week of Paulie no takes. I think Paulie no takes needs to somehow stick. But Dennis says the only thing more boring than watching golf on TV is watching other people watching golf on TV.
Bunch of haters.
Well played, Dennis. Well played.
Bunch of haters.
Hey, I watched some golf. I watched some golf yesterday.
It's one of the great sporting events of the year.
I
don't have any expectation that any of you are going to join me in watching on a weekly basis, but the Masters in particular, one of the great tournaments of the year.
What's the tournament right after the Masters? Is it always the same?
I have
Is
no
it like
idea what they're playing this week?
The John
I
Deere.
do think I think there's some rotation to it, but I don't remember what it is this week because nobody's going to play it.
Right. That's always that's
a
tough
one on the
spot to be in, right? Yeah. The week after the Masters.
It's a tough one on the calendar.
You almost should just like no
just
one should.
Yeah.
Can we take a week off completely?
I think it says
my tournament has a chance to get people to come to it.
RBC Heritage.
There you go. Okay.
Where's that?
Harbor Town Golf Links. Where is that? Not sure.
We wish them great success this weekend.
It sounds amazing.
South
Robby
Carolina.
will be watching.
I'll watch it. Well,
There you
if
go.
Scheffler's playing, I'll be watching. If he's not, probably won't. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. And as we do every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in Corey Curtis to the program from News 2, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Corey, good morning. How are you?
I am amazing. How are you?
I'm good. Did you? Are you a big golfer? Did you watch any of the Masters yesterday?
I'm going to be honest. No, I'm not.
Jeez.
And no, you did not?
I watched some.
I think I'm more of a golf watcher than Corey.
That's not saying much.
Golf lost me.
When did it lose you?
With the Live Tour.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you
just
hate the entire sport now, huh? Why can't you just hate the Live people?
Well, because the PGA Tour got in bed with them later. They just took their money.
That's true. It did happen. It's a mess. Got to get it figured out.
You actually had some players stand up and do what was right, and then they just said, "Oh, well, you're going to give us money? Okay, well, we'll take that too."
Yeah, that did happen. It's money's a
fair point. Yeah,
the equalizer.
Yeah. I mean, I think you make a good point. Also, I think you should stop watching football.
That's true.
I'm going to go ahead and say that that's not even close to the same thing.
Yeah, but I mean, really, like these owners, what the stuff they're doing.
What does the Lombardi Trophy look like, and what does the Live Trophy look like?
I couldn't tell you what the Live Trophy looks like.
I have no clue.
It looks like the Trade Center towers after they got knocked down.
I didn't know that. Didn't know that.
Go ahead, pull it up. Pull it up on Google.
Okay, I'll Google that right now. Corey, the
Live Trophy. Just write Live Trophy Trade Centers. It'll give you a side by side.
Okay, well, I will do that right now. So the Nashville Predators in a playoff race, they get the win this past Saturday against Minnesota. They got San Jose tonight. They got Anaheim coming up on Thursday. And Corey, they go with Justus Annunen on Saturday in a gotta-have-it game against the Minnesota Wild. Andrew Brunette said after the game that they went with the hot hand. So I'm looking tonight like, well, he played well again. He played great against Anaheim last week. If you're Andrew Brunette, what do you do tonight in goal? Do you go with your franchise goalie and Justus Saros, or do you keep the hot hand rolling and leave Justus Annunen in that tonight against the San Jose Sharks? If Corey Curtis is in charge, what decision do you make in this game tonight?
Well, there is no decision. If it was my decision, he would have started in Los Angeles as well. Justus Annunen is clearly playing better right now. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it. This is not a time for, well, this guy makes more money, or, hey, this is lost feelings. You got to win. And you know, goalies can be the great equalizer. And when a guy's the hot hand, the guy's the hot hand. And I was surprised he didn't start Los Angeles, because Barry always had the rule that if you had a shutout, you played the next game. You played until you gave up a goal. Yep. And so he sat after the shutout, which was surprising to me. And, you know, I think everybody understands this isn't you condemning Justus Saros and you saying, well, he's not our goalie anymore. It's you saying, hey, this guy's really playing well and we're winning with him in the net. And we're running out of time and we have to win these games. And so we're going with the hot hand right now. And I don't think it's a hard decision. I think they're late to the party with the decision. And you roll out with the big juice tonight.
I agree with basically everything you just said. And yet I have, and maybe Robby has talked me into this a little bit. I go back and forth on what he'll actually do. Do you think that he will do that he'll just go with Annunen?
I think after going with him on Saturday that he will. And I think if he doesn't, I'm not going to say he's crazy, but I don't think it's a great decision.
Well, that part of it's interesting because, like, we were talking about this scenario. Let's play this out, Corey. Let's say that they stick with Annunen and they win these next two games, and it lines up where somehow they get in the playoffs here, whether that's LA falling apart, whether Anaheim loses in regulation to Minnesota and the Predators end up catching them. Let's say somehow they get their way in the playoffs. What do you do then? I mean, you've just had 3 must-win games that your backup goalie in that scenario would have come in and won for you. Like, do you just turn around and go in Saros in game one? Like, what do you do at that point if you're the Predators?
It's a good question. And to me, it is more difficult than this. I think you could go back to Saros, but the leash is short. I mean, the Preds have that when they won the Western Conference and played in the Cup. Pekka stole the Chicago series. He was unstoppable in that series, and it was tremendous. All throughout the playoffs, but started to have a shorter hook in Pittsburgh to the point where people were asking who was going to start in some of those games because the Preds given up a bunch of goals in a couple of those Cup final games. So, I mean, I think you can still have that question, but I think to start the series you can go back to Saros. But if he gives up 5 goals in game one, which is possible against Colorado,
yes, it is.
Then no one's going to question you going with Big Juice and seeing if you can, recapture some of that magic that got you into the postseason.
Now you got me pissed off all over again about Laviolette, and I was just saying, yeah, guys, Pagarina is going to start. He just wouldn't answer the question.
He would not do it.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't.
God. Remember, he also kicked out, like they were doing like the documentary or whatever, and he was like,
oh, yeah.
No, get him out of here.
Get the camera crew out.
I think poor Jerry Helper had to be like, guys, you have to. He was caught on camera like, sorry, guys. And then you could just hear Laviolette roar, just screaming in the background.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's say, I just want to make sure we're clear then, because this is where it does get interesting. If you're thinking of a big picture, if you're Andrew Burnett, like the whole thing of like, okay, you're riding the hot hand, makes sense. You're trying to win a game that you just go each step, and then it keeps working out. So and it keeps working out. Is there any question then that game one is on then?
Well, no, it's what we just said. We said, yeah. I mean, I think you can go back.
I don't see how you can go. I don't see how you can incrementally ride the hot hand, win, and then be like, but now, never mind. See, I disagree
game
with
one's
that.
Not a must-win game, and you're kind of resetting. That would be what I'm saying. But again, I just think the leash is short. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, but that's fine. But if you can rationalize resetting there, you could rationalize tonight resetting and being like, and again, I wouldn't do it, but you can rationalize saying every game is its own thing, and who is our guy, right?
Yeah. Well, you could also rationalize with this. We've beaten San Jose 15 times in a row.
That's true.
How many of those was Saros in net for? I'm gonna guess probably 14.
You could also say in 6 of those games I could have played goal and you still would have won.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Look, they're averaging 5 goals a game in that 15-game win streak.
It really is amazing.
Yes. I mean, that is just a crap ton of goals. I mean. That's one of the darndest things I've ever seen. That's just crazy.
So, Corey, I'm going to give you an opportunity here to do, I think, one of your favorite things to do, and that is to address the people of Duval of Jacksonville. So, we've seen, Travis Hunter last year. The Jags moved heaven and earth to go get him. They make the huge trade, the huge splash. They give up future assets to go get him, with the idea that, he's going to reinvent the wheel in the NFL, and he's going to play full-time cornerback. He's going to play on offense. He's going to be a big part of the receiving game. And now they've basically switched to, we just think he's going to play corner, and he's going to be, we're going to let him focus on the defensive side of the ball. So what do you make of that after 1 year where he played 7 games, them already kind of abandoning this Travis Hunter, both sides of the ball experiment?
Well, first off, it's not Duval anymore. It's Orange.
It's true.
They're going to play.
They are going to play in Orlando.
They're going to play in Orange County now. So they're just orange.
Yeah, what are they going to do that year, Corey? They're just going to chant up a chant? Do you still chant Duval when you're in Orlando?
Yeah.
Orange.
Orange. Look, it was a bad trade when they made it happen. It is a horrific trade now. I mean, horrific trade right now. The only way that saves this trade if he becomes Deion Sanders. I mean, because to give up, how many picks did they give up? Was it just 2 1s?
I need to go back and look. It was at least that.
It was at least that. I mean, and the thought process was, well, we're getting 2 players. That was the excuse that was given. And so now he gets one injury, and you're like, yeah, it's a bad idea. We're just doing 1. I mean, everybody told you this is not realistic. This is, the sustainability of this is not realistic. And, so you give it a shot and you're like, yeah, it wasn't realistic. And, the other thought of it was, he's dynamic and he creates buzz for our franchise and he's fun to watch for our fans. And now he's not even scoring touchdowns. Now ideally, like half the time with Deion, you barely saw him play because nobody threw the ball at him. And so, ideally, he has 2 interceptions a year because nobody throws the ball at him. It's just, look, he could still wind up being a great player. I don't think anybody questioned that. But, it's just the whole notion that he was going to play 50 plays a game, was a little bit absurd. Have they said how many offensive plays they're going to try to use him a game?
I think they're just saying, like, he's just focusing
on corner.
And I'm with you. And I have thought, I don't know, Deion, that's but I mean, I've believed watching him in college that he could be that level of corner, but that still wouldn't. So to me, that validates taking him very high in the last draft, but it does not validate what they did.
I know he won all the trophies. I think part of winning all the trophies was playing both sides of the ball.
Yes.
Because I don't know anybody calling him Deion coming out of the draft. I know there were some people who wondered if he was the best at wide receiver or the best corner coming out of the draft.
My whole thing was he looks like he could be a decent receiver in the NFL and a great cornerback. But so at least they seem to have watched him on the field and to be like, okay, yeah, he probably should play corner, but he better be unbelievable.
Which would justify it taking him at 2 or 3 or 4, but not giving up
the world,
multiple first round picks.
So when will they pay for it? When will they pay for it?
That's Jackson.
And also, have you seen Trevor Lawrence's haircut?
That's what I was going to ask you. Have you seen the haircut for Trevor Lawrence?
Did he cut it off?
Oh, it's gone.
I didn't know until today. Rebecca put it on the text line. I looked at it, and he looks like the lead singer of Depeche Mode. And it doesn't work.
Well, one of the nice things about playing the Jaguars is enjoying the silence. So,
look at you!
Hey,
will
the crowd be better or worse in Orlando? What do you think?
I will say, there's no reason to expect the Jaguars to be good again, because the years, when they're good, it's usually for like 1 year and then it just kind of goes away.
It's true.
But the nice thing for them is, like, when the third quarter comes around, they can just go to Universal or Disney.
It's true. It's right down the road. I love just giving Corey the opportunity to take shots at Duval. There's got to be like some people in Duval that just absolutely hate Corey.
They need to know more. Yeah, we need to send more things to them. We need to send some
now
clips.
that they're playing in Orlando, they could put Mickey ears on the helmets.
Hey,
yeah, okay.
Probably sell some
aerodynamic.
Yeah.
Get Mickey out there in a Jags jersey.
Why do you never rip the Colts or Texans like this?
Duval.
Look, when the Texans were letting the team minister make all the decisions, we ripped them. All right.
Easterby.
And when we have ripped the Colts for the Anthony Richardson stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But the crazy thing with the Colts is if they had quarterback play, it wouldn't have been 12 years since they were relevant in the division. But here we are. It's 12 years. They are still treated like the NFL, like they are royalty and like they are a contender every year. And it's been 12 years since they won the worst division in football. Just think about it. For 20 years, this has been the worst division in football. There's no question about it. And for 12 years straight, they have not been able to somehow sneak up and win this thing. Even the Jaguars have won it, and you have not been able to win it.
All right, we got him going.
They've won it twice, I think.
Yeah, like a wind-up doll.
Yeah, look at Corey.
Good job.
It's good stuff.
It's great when you can talk trash about other teams in this division in this city. Boy,
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, but that's my point. Even the Titans have won it. I mean, they were positioned to win it 3 years in a row
they
until
were.
the offensive coordinator drove like 180 on I-65.
That is true.
What a fun morning that was.
Corey, thank you so much for taking time to be with us. We will talk to you soon, my friend.
I just have one thing to say.
Okay.
Orange.
Yes. I can't wait to see what becomes of that. That's going to be great. Corey Curtis brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic with us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. We'll react to what Corey had to say. We'll take your thoughts on the Predators. Justus Anonen in goal on Saturday. Should they go back with him tonight? More on that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. What a great song.
Great song. Great reference by Corey Curtis. This is Depeche Mode's best album by far. Violator, for those who don't know.
That Trevor Lawrence haircut is something, man. I mean, far be it for me to talk about anybody's hair because, I mean, come on. Baldy over here. But
that's your choice, man. That's your choice. You could have hair.
Yeah.
You could have some hair.
I could have some hair. That is true. It was when I saw the picture of Trevor Lawrence, I was stunned. I was like, who is that? That's not Trevor Lawrence. Turns out it is.
It also a little bit like a character in what's the Ben Stiller movie? Help me out.
Well, Zoolander.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kind of looks like
he there's a lot of Ben Stiller movies. But...
What's that one Ben Stiller movie?
Yeah, which one?
Yes, Zoolander. He looks like he could be in Zoolander.
Hansel or whatever. He's so hot right now.
So if you haven't seen it, go Google Trevor Lawrence haircut. You'll be stunned. Let's head back to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
It's a good haircut, man. His hair looked wild before. You don't realize it until he gets a good haircut. He needed a good haircut. He's representing the whole town. Even if it is a terrible town, you're representing the whole town.
He's about to represent Orlando, too.
Yeah.
I mean, multiple towns in Florida are coming up.
Full counties.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey, I got a thing, man, on this the goalie situation. So through the years, I've seen other teams do it, but the Preds don't do it, where they will sit their starters if they're not playing well. Like their starting goalie will just they'll always because the camera always cuts to them. They're like, got to show Pecorine sitting on the bench or whoever it is on that team. But we don't do that for some reason, and so Annunen is clearly the better player right now. I don't know why. What's the hesitation? Unless it's like blind loyalty, in which case everybody needs to be fired. If you're that blind and we're trying to get in the playoffs, the only thing that matters is the playoffs. Why wouldn't you play Annunen? He just shut out good teams. So I don't understand why you wouldn't. I had a bad feeling heading into Minnesota, and he put us on his back. So why wouldn't you play that guy?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it.
We don't know if there's hesitation.
Well,
We're just speculating on everything. I mean, Brunette may have told everybody, I didn't get the rest of the year.
I don't know. Well, and the first part of that, like, objectively looking at this, the Predators for basically all of their franchise have had good goaltending. Like whether it was Vokoun or, obviously a long run with Pekka Rinne. I mean, heck, even, Dan Ellis is pretty good for a couple years, but I got a long run with Pekka. Saros has been a good goalie. Now, Saros the last couple of years, there's obviously been a lot of discussion about him and the contract and all those things. But, the Predators have had good goaltending basically since the moment they stepped in the league as a franchise, right? And some of it, they got lucky. Like, Saros was the 4th round pick. And I don't think they expected Thomas Vokoun to turn out to be what he was when, they came in as an expansion team, but he ended up being a really good goalie for a long time. So, there's a little bit of luck. I mean, Pekka Rinne was drafted in a round that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So there's some luck that's gone into all of it. But I also think that that's a testament to, Mitch Korn and Ben Vanderklok and the goaltending coaches that they have. So all that plays into it. But I'm Brunette, if you're looking at it, last week, Annunen had unquestionably the best goaltending performance of the year. He was unbelievable against Anaheim. And now he's followed that up with a really good game against Minnesota. And again, he didn't have to do much in the first 2 periods the other night against Minnesota. He had to make some key saves in the third, and he did. So you've got 2 games in a row where you watch him play and you can see it. We've all watched enough hockey to realize when a goalie's in the zone, right? Like we've seen Saros be in the zone plenty of times, and it's, what that looks like and feels like when you're watching it. We've seen Pekka be in the zone, and right now Annunen's in the zone. Now, how long is that going to last? I have no idea, because look, sometimes with backup goalies in the league, Joe, this happens where they go on a little bit of a run,
and then reality,
and it comes
the pumpkin
crashing down at some point.
They all turn into pumpkins
right.
At some point.
So that could happen today. I have no idea, but it's almost to the point, Joe, where don't you kind of have to let that happen before you make that decision? If you're like, that's how good Annunen's been of late. He has played himself into, even last week before they made the decision to start him against Minnesota, we had a conversation about it on Friday of like, what do you do if you're Andrew Brunette? Like, he's played well enough where if you'd had that conversation before the year, it would have been laughable. And it turned into a legitimate discussion point last week. And he went with Onanen Saturday. And I'll admit, it was a little surprising watching him trot out there for warm-ups on Saturday. I was like, wow, it's a must-win game. And they're going with Justus Onanen when it's not a back-to-back.
Right. And so you've already done the whoa move, and you've already explained it very simply, which is like he's the hot hand. Sports is whatever high percentage mental, and when people are in a groove, in a zone, whatever you want to call it, I think you're wise to lean in on that if you have access to that. And so I think it's simple. And you're right. I mean, at some point, there's going to be he's a backup goalie for a reason moment. But I don't think that because right now, and you mentioned this earlier, and it's another part of this, the mental side of sports. If you do go with Saros, like Saros understands that at that point, it's probably not a completely popular decision, right? And so he may feel a certain type of way right now about all this stuff. But the bottom line is he also sees his partner here kicking butt, and you got to understand that like this happens sometimes. People ride the hot hand. So if you switch to Saros, as you said earlier, you also in a way sort of increase the pressure on everyone, kind of, and certainly on Saros. There's already plenty of pressure.
Yeah. 615-737-1025, our phone number. A lot of your thoughts to get to on this. Keep them coming on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What should the Predators do tonight? Should it be Justus Onanen? Should it be Juuse Saros back in net tonight for the Preds? More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. I got some tickets to give away, a pair of tickets to Team Boxing League as the Nashville Smash take on Phoenix Fury at Municipal Auditorium this Friday night. Caller 3, 615-737-1025. We'll win some tickets. You could wear them too if you want to the Team Boxing League match coming up this Friday night at Municipal Auditorium.
Tape them to your forehead or something like that.
Absolutely.
That's what Trevor Lawrence should do. Get some tickets and cover up that awful haircut. Poor Trevor.
We do have people in the YouTube chat on the text line are like, yeah, just Google the Trevor Lawrence haircut. Wow, that was stunning. It's like, yep, sure is. You grow accustomed to seeing Trevor Lawrence in a certain hairstyle for a while, and then when he completely removes it, it's like, whoa, it's a little shocking.
It's just, and maybe it's just like the picture with the shades too. I mean, it really is like he is an 80s new wave artist, which I love that music. So, little English beat or something, you know. Someone on the text line also has a side by side of him and one of the Easter Island statues. So.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So, also, someone asked him about the Live trophy. I looked at it. It's a weird trophy. I guess I get how people can make that comparison.
I'm going down there's articles about this. Yeah. Going down the rabbit hole.
I assume it was asked at some point. Did they ever address it?
I don't know. I'm just going down. I'm halfway through one article right now. I got some more research.
Kind of messed up.
Justin from Greenbrier says, baseball players go into slumps. I can only think that goalies are no different. Play big juice until he falls off the ledge. Saros has been streaky since he's been on the team. He will bounce back. I mean, the streaky part of it is interesting. I think the scenario we threw out there to Corey early is a really interesting one. Let's say they go with Onanen tonight and he wins again. Well, Joe, you'd be hard-pressed to tell me, like, if you went with Onanen Saturday and they win, and you go with Onanen tonight and they win, well, if they're still alive on Thursday for the playoffs, you got to go with them again, don't you? So let's say they win and they get in. Are you just going back to Saros for game one?
That's the thing. That's what Corey is trying to make that case. And I'm like, I mean, if he is this good, if he's great in those wins, no, you can't, right?
That's what I'm saying.
You can't. But okay. Well, meanwhile, we're talking about huge wins. We're talking about getting in the postseason, and we're talking about, again, people get hot in sports, and again, the mental is more important than the physical, and I think the more that he would perform like that, the more you keep going until it falls off the cliff, and the more it's difficult to even go with the other guy and to justify it. And for, again, all the dynamics, there's also all the guys in the locker room. They all love Saros. Anytime he's great, they love it. They rally around him. If he's not great, they make excuses for him. But if those guys are watching these two guys playing, it's like, this guy's playing way better right now. Why would you not give us the best chance? At some point, they noticed too. I think they probably have by now. And they probably, some of them, raised an eyebrow when he made that decision. But it's like, hey, good for Bruno.
Yeah.
Make a decision just based on the information in the moment, and let's go win a game.
Well, and again, and it's not like Saros is playing bad right now.
Right.
But Onanen is playing better.
It is a little odd that Onanen is playing so well without really having a whole lot of extra playing time.
Yeah.
Usually you see these kind of backup goalies get on a run. If, Saros were to have gotten hurt and he missed 2 weeks, he missed what, 1 or 2 games, maybe, after a little bit of that upper body tweak that he hurt in practice. Onanen made 1 or extra 2 starts there. And
played really well.
And he's played well.
Yeah.
And he's continued to kind of go with it. Usually you see the backup take over after an injury. He's kind of gained momentum, and then you kind of struggle whether to go back. This is strange in that hasn't really happened. He's just kind of, maybe he's figured some stuff out as the year's gone on, as he's matured, as the coaching kind of situation is, unfolded. So I don't know. That part of it is a little bit different to me.
Yeah. No,
the bottom line is he has this one game that's, again, according to Vingan, Sport Logic, like it's the best goals, saves above expected game in the history of the website. Going back how, like 20 years?
It was 16-17 season.
Oh, okay. Going back 10 years.
Yeah.
But still,
that's pretty good.
That kind of means something, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, those numbers, obviously these teams have their own rating systems, analytics, all that stuff. But They go through that stuff, and it's like, okay, this is like extraordinary high level play.
Well, and I
ride it until it stops.
I think the words that you've brought up a few times that Brunette used at the press conference on Saturday mean something. Like you say, we went with a hot hand. Well, I mean, that kind of tells me you went with a hot hand. It's not like the hand cooled off. Like
right.
It's still hot going into this game.
The hand stayed hot.
So I am, I
said it, dunk it nice.
I said it earlier in the show. I am very interested to see, walking in the door this morning at Bridgestone Arena, what the morning skate looks like and who's in net and what that's going to look like. Or I do wonder, like, did the Predators try to get, we see teams do this time of year, get a little coy about it today of like, we're going to basically hide the starting goalie from the media. And we're going to go through some random drill at morning skate.
Don't do it, Bruno. Don't do it.
It's like, who's starting? I have no idea. Game time decision. Okay, cool.
I have a feeling that might happen, actually.
You don't know who's starting tonight?
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, on the YouTube chat, Ultra says, I know Joe hates Brady, but that's what started his career, staying with the young guy. Well, I'm not the only one to bring up the Brady comparison now, so thank you.
Yeah, if you missed it earlier in the show, Joe Rexrode is compared to Justus Onanen to Tom Brady. So a lot of pressure for Onanen all of a sudden.
And Drew Bledsoe is a pretty good quarterback, by the way.
Got to win some cups.
I'm just saying, yeah, many cups are on the way. I think we have a question of the day. We've already picked it for Chasing Big Joe, which is, what does Trevor Lawrence's haircut look like? I've got a Trevor looks like Jim McMahon from Nevada Josh. Not bad, but this is my favorite. Trevor Lawrence looks like Steve the Pirate at the end of Dodgeball. He actually totally does. Arr! He just stops talking like a pirate. Holy crap, that's amazing. Well done.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. All right, final thoughts on this. The Preds and the Sharks tonight. We'll go over the scenarios for the playoffs for the Predators. Take more of your thoughts on Onanen and Saros. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, broadcasting live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. The Preds taking on the Sharks tonight. So, Joe, here's basically what it boils down to. The Predators need to win both of these games coming up, which I think they are well aware of. You have L.A. right in front of them in the wild card race at 87 points. They have one game in hand on the Predators, which means of the 6 points left that are available for LA, if they get to all of them, they get all those points, that's 93, and the Predators can't catch them. The max for the Preds is 90 in this race. So you need LA to lose once in regulation and to drop a point somewhere else on the LA front. Anaheim is dead even with you in games played. They're at 90 points. So it is possible for LA, if Anaheim loses the next two here, to pass Anaheim in the standings, and they would actually be third in the Pacific. Anaheim would drop down to the wild card race at that point. And if you're the Predators, you play Anaheim Thursday. So you really, and honestly, kind of looking at it, what's more likely? And I'm just throwing this question out there. LA's got Seattle, Vancouver, and Calgary, which are three teams that are all on the road. But frankly, they should beat all of those teams. So we'll see. It's the NHL. Crazy things happen.
Yeah.
But, they should win all of those games given the situation that they're in. You need them to drop 3 points along the way. If you end up tied with LA, you're winning the tiebreaker. You will get in. On the Anaheim front, if you end up tied with Anaheim, you will get in. So that means if Anaheim loses in regulation to Minnesota tomorrow and you win today against the Sharks, you will have basically a winner get-in game against Anaheim coming up on Thursday. So we spent all this time talking about L.A., and that's still an option. But the more likely route may be Anaheim when you really look at it, because they're at 90 points. The Predators can get to 90 points, and the Predators would win the tiebreaker because they have more regulation wins than Anaheim does. So basically, it's a long way of me saying you're pulling for the Kraken, the Canucks, the Flames this week. You're also rooting like mad for John Hines and the Minnesota Wild tomorrow. The unfortunate part is Minnesota has already locked up their seed. They're the third seed in the Central. They're going on the road, and they're taking Dallas in the first round. So we saw Minnesota sit some guys on Saturday. I would guess that they're going to sit more guys tomorrow. What does that mean? Who are they sitting? Are they going to sit Quinn Hughes? Are they going to sit Kirill Kaprizov? I don't know how John Hines is going to approach that. I've seen coaches approach it different ways. Sometimes you don't want to sit guys too long heading into the playoffs. So I don't know how John Hines is going to handle that. But you're hoping that Minnesota can find a way to win a game in regulation tomorrow if you're a Predators fan.
But if you're John Hines and you have a chance to screw over the Nashville Predators, what are the rules on bringing the entire Iowa Wild up?
Yeah.
That's their AHL affiliate.
That is.
They play at Casey Center in Des Moines, Iowa, by
That's
the
good
way.
to know.
Yes,
They play against the Milwaukee Admirals.
The mighty
Big playoff
Admirals.
matchup, I'm sure.
Yeah. So if John Hines, you know what? Yeah, I get that whole thing about resting guys and continuity and all that, but I think that we don't want to mess with stuff. I don't think we want to risk any injury to any of our key guys. We'll see. That'll be interesting.
It probably makes it more likely that they are going to rest some guys, given the fact that they just did.
Let's see. They did recall some people today. So they have Minnesota. They've completed their 4 post-deadline regular recalls until Iowa's season is over.
Okay.
So they did make a couple more.
Some Iowa Wild.
Yeah.
Get that Iowa Wild out in there. Why can't the Milwaukee be the Milwaukee Predators?
I don't know. Good question.
It's probably not the best city to have a name Predators in.
They clinched the playoffs again, by the way. So your dream of doing a live remote broadcast from Milwaukee in the playoffs still lives on.
Let's do it. I was just up there in Chicago. I'm not done with the bratwurst and the Italian beef sandwiches. Hey, Matthew from Jolton brings up a good point on the Brady-Bledsoe comparison. If I'm not mistaken, Bledsoe did sign a massive contract a couple years before he got hurt, and Brady took over. Just saying.
Rob
there's
points
something
out
to it.
That says Joe's not far off with that comparison between Anand and Brady. They do both play professional sports in North America, or at least they did.
So there you go.
There you go. That's all it takes.
There is a comparison to be made.
That's all it takes this time of year. All right, are you ready for my official prediction on who starts in goal tonight for the Nashville Predators?
Yeah, and before you give it, earlier you gave a prediction that it would be Saros.
Yep. I'm sticking with it.
Sticking with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which could be very interesting. Well, like what? We've played out all these scenarios. What if they start Saros tonight and he just gets lit up? Like Celebrini goes out there and scores like 4 goals.
Fun show tomorrow.
It'd be a fun show tomorrow. I'm sure it would be. Good grief.
You know, I'm gonna make a different prediction.
Okay.
I think when
Let me make it clear, I'm totally guessing, by the way. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I think when Andrew Brunette, again, when he frames it the way he did, like you have to know, and I know sometimes you have a game, you have a press conference, you get asked questions, but you could have, I mean, you don't have to lie to just frame things a little bit differently after that, right? Like, hey, it's a tough decision. He's been playing really well. You want to make sure everybody's rested. You could have done that. He just simply said playing the hot hand. And I think when you say that after that last game, to me, you are telling us that you're going to continue to ride the hot hand. You rode the hot hand. It worked. Why would you change? So I'm going to predict that he keeps riding the hot hand.
Everything you're saying makes total sense.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I don't feel great about that prediction either. I think it's a really fascinating, like almost 50-50 kind of proposition here.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. But I mean, you're Brunette, and the bottom line is you don't know your future. You do know that you appreciate the guys in the room for what they've done and how all of you have moved forward from when the trading deadline. It's like, okay, this is just not happening. And you want to give them the best chance. And as much as everybody loves Saros, like the guys in that room have to right now be like, look, Anan's just playing. He's on a heater.
Yeah.
Just like anybody in a lineup in any sport. Like if someone's on a heater, why would you not go with that?
Is there criticism that follows if they go with Ananen and tonight's the night where it all comes crashing down?
I mean, some people are going to bitch about everything.
Sure.
If there's a loss, right? So yes, but I think right now, if you talk about first guessing before we know what's going to happen, I think that 80% plus of this fan base would first guess and would say play Ananen. So sure. Like, in fact, I don't think I've seen anybody today say, no, you got to go with Saros, other than like, well, the big picture.
Yeah.
But like, I have not seen that. I think all the reaction today, including from some very level-headed Preds fans who we interact with on a regular basis, are go with Ananen.
Well, the bottom line is this: they need to win tonight. You gotta find a way to win a game tonight. There is a scenario where they can be eliminated tonight. So they play San Jose. If you lose to San Jose in regulation, the LA Kings are playing Seattle tonight. So if you lose tonight in regulation and you've got LA that went, well, I guess I'm thinking about that. I guess there's not a scenario where they could be actually eliminated. There's a scenario where they can't catch LA anymore because they would only have one game left. But no, you can be eliminated. If you lose tonight, you can't catch Anaheim. So yeah, they could be eliminated tonight.
Can't catch Anaheim.
If you lose tonight in regulation and LA wins, you're eliminated.
Yep.
So first things first, win the game, and then at least you're going to be alive heading into tomorrow, and we'll kind of see how all that goes. But if you win tonight in regulation, you're feeling good about things, and then you're pulling like mad for Seattle and Vancouver and Anaheim taking on Minnesota tomorrow night.
Quick comment. First one, starting Saros, a logical decision. Anaheim gets to Ananen, and Saros has been on a heater against San Jose. So we do have someone that's one out of many.
There we go. That's going to do it for us today. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the day. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow to break it all down. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.